I had low expectations on Sweden's newest high-speed train, but this new SJ3000 service surprised me. Join me on this first-class trip from Gothenburg, Sweden to Copenhagen, Denmark. This 4-hour journey has 2 legs. The first one will take us from Gothenburg to Malmö in southern Sweden on the new SJ3000 train. And then from Malmö to Copenhagen we'll go on the X2000, that is the old high-speed train, and we'll talk about the differences in just a moment. Welcome to Gothenburg Central Station. The weather out there is completely miserable, but at least I arrived here safely. Let's go and find the SJ Lounge for our trip down to Malmö. I paid for this trip myself, and including the optional meal served at my seat, this first-class ticket cost me 642 Swedish krona, which is just over $60 US. The first-class ticket includes access to the SJ Lounge, and SJ has one of these lounges in each of the 3 biggest cities, Stockholm, Gothenburg and Malmö. While we have a look around Gothenburg Central Station, let me give you a brief history of high-speed rail in Sweden as operated by SJ, that is the state-owned former train monopoly. High-speed service in Sweden starts in the 1990s with the X2000. It is a tilting train that travels at around 200 kilometers an hour on regular curvy tracks. There is no dedicated high-speed rail infrastructure in Sweden. The X2000 has been the backbone of the Swedish long-distance train network. As other train operators started doing business, SJ renamed the X2000 to the SJ2000, which is objectively a much worse name. Nonetheless, people still call this train the X2000. Internally, the model is known as the X2 or simply the X. After a few years, they realized their terrible mistake and started calling it X2000 again. Around 2005, SJ started a first round of modernization of the X2000 trains, and it's actually this model that we will be taking to Copenhagen today on the second leg of the journey. Now, as of 2023, SJ is doing another round of modernization, and you can see one of these updated trains parked at Gothenburg Central Station. And now over to the SJ3000 service. In the year 2012, SJ launched their version of the Bombardier Regina trains. These models are known as X55 internally and are sold as this new SJ3000 product. These trains also run at 200 kilometers an hour in commercial traffic, but they do not tilt when they turn. A typical first-class train almost anywhere in the world will have a 1+2 seat configuration. The SJ3000 has a 2+2 configuration, and that is the reason why I was not looking forward to this trip. Most of the footage you have seen I filmed the day before my trip, because I knew that the weather would be absolutely miserable like this. Attached to the Gothenburg Central Station building, there is also a bus terminal, the Nils Eriksson Terminalen. This bus terminal serves both local and long-distance buses, including the airport bus. We will find the entrance to the SJ Lounge under the big departure board here in the central hall. There is another entrance from the tracks, and you just scan your ticket to enter. Welcome to the SJ Lounge here at Gothenburg Central Station. Let's have a quick tour of some of the great facilities that they have here, and especially with this miserable weather outside. I'm very happy to be in here where it's warm and dry, and there are great views of the trains outside. The lounge here in Gothenburg has really improved since the last time I was here. It used to be a small room on the ground floor with very limited catering. This time there is a lot more to choose from. For free, you get hot and cold drinks, and if you want a Coke, you can also buy it here. There is a much more substantial food offering than in the past. I was on a morning train, and they switched from the breakfast items to these kind of savory snacks at 9:45 a.m. The lounge offers plenty of seating and perhaps most importantly, wonderful views of the trains waiting on the tracks. The lounge also features bathrooms without working soap dispensers, and you can tell that I was filming this around Christmas time because the white pillars are dressed up as candy canes. Alright, it is time to leave the SJ Lounge. In front of me there is the station building behind me. We have the tracks. I'm gonna exit through the exit right there behind me. We're about to board this SJ3000 train that you see here behind me. SJ has this practice of not opening the doors before maybe 10 minutes before the departure time, which is real annoying, especially on this cold, miserable, wet day. It would be much nicer to be inside the train rather than outside here on the platform. But if I remember correctly, and it is 10 minutes, we should be able to board in about 1 minute or something like that. Let's find out. And look at that, just as I said that, I see the doors opening over there. Let's grab this first class seat on the SJ3000 train down to Malmö. My seat today is in car number 1, and the boarding process is difficult. For one, the electronic signs above the doors are not working. The signs on the track do say that the cars are in the order 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe a bit obviously, but there is no indication if that is counting from the station or from the direction of travel. Other stations around Europe do a much better job of indicating exactly which car will stop at which section on the track. In the end, I ended up walking through the second-class car, specifically this quiet car. Also inside the train, the signage is very bad. There are doors between the cars, and those doors do have stickers indicating which class you are going to, but they don't help because during boarding, those doors remain open because people are constantly walking through. By comparison, the signage on the new version of the X2000 is super clear, as you can see here with this parked, updated X2000 train. Another solution would be to have a special color indicator on the first-class car, as is the case in many other countries. My original seat was number 57 that you can see here, but I ended up moving 1 row back so that I could have more window space. Welcome to this SJ3000 train that's going to take us down to Malmö. I made myself comfortable here in the first class car. Initially, I was a bit unhappy about the fact that the seats are laid out in a 2+2 configuration instead of the usual 1+2, but now that I've had myself a seat, I'm kind of liking this first class car. It's not as bad as I feared. I think this is going to be a nice journey down to Malmö. The bad signage became apparent after we departed because 2 passengers were in fact in the wrong car, and they didn't know until the staff member told them. Our departure time from Gothenburg was 10:24. It's now 10:30. We have not moved an inch. I am not the least bit surprised. This is SJ delivering on the expectations. On this train, we departed 15 minutes late at 10:39. When the crew member came past my seat, she asked me if I want my pre-ordered meal now or at 11:30. That is a weirdly specific question, but 11:30 is a pretty normal lunchtime in Sweden. I'm happy that she asked because it almost means that the SJ is actually offering dine on demand for their pre-ordered meals. That meal cost me 145 Swedish krona, which is around $14 US. There are several meal types that you can choose from. You can do meat or fish or vegetarian or vegan. I picked fish for this meal. The meal was delivered on a tray and each of the plates were covered by plastic wrap. One thing that stands out to me is that they're using this nice SJ branded stoneware. What I got here today was a cold lunch, and I do remember a time when they offered hot meals on these services. The menu consists of an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert, and overall it was fine, except for that pie was a little bit dry. A little splash of vanilla sauce would have been wonderful. It also comes with a drink of your choice, and I picked a lemon-flavored mineral water. One of the benefits of first class on these high-speed services is that there is a small drinks and snacks buffet. You can get yourself water, coffee, tea, fruit, candy, and some other snacks as well. In my mind, the 2 distinguishing features of the first class product by SJ is this drinks corner and the dine at your seat experience. I have ridden a lot of first class trains all over Europe, but I haven't seen this set up many other places. Typically, you have to go to a specific restaurant car for both services. Speaking of which, the SJ3000 does have a bistro car on board. It sells cold meals and hot ones as well that you can heat yourself here in the microwaves. Let's check out the bistro car here on board the SJ3000. You can also get hot and cold drinks and snacks. This train also features a second-class car, which is a little bit more chaotic. Plus, they have an enhanced second-class product that they call the Quiet Car. I would definitely recommend the Quiet Car if you're going to be traveling in second class on SJ trains. Let's have a look at some of the features of my first-class seat. There is a moderate amount of recline in this seat. Between the two seats, there are individual reading lamps. There is a power socket down here. It's easy to access from your seat, but a little bit challenging to film. One benefit of the seat that is not so obvious is that there is a great deal of privacy. From this angle where I'm standing, you really can't see anybody else, and when you sit down, you are completely blocked off from the rest of the passengers. The seat also features a sturdy tray table, but unlike the X2000, you cannot pull it towards you. But one nice thing is that it does have a built-in cup holder in addition to the extra cup holder here on the side. The legroom on this seat is impressive. This is a very comfy ride. Now let's have a look at the bathroom, and as you can see, it is nice and modern. One of those modern touches in my book is the fact that there is no lid on the trash. I think it makes it easier to use. There is a baby change table, and there are some coat hooks in here as well. Here's another smart detail on the outside of the lavatory. They have these indicator lamps which will tell you if it's occupied or out of service. This is a good solution for this situation that happens more often than you would think, that you are using the bathroom and somebody tries to open the door because they don't see very clearly if it's occupied or not. Here in the entranceway there is a feature that I'm not sure what it actually is, but I'm thinking that this might be a sound dampened little phone corner. In this area there's also a sign that tells us that the staff are wearing body cameras and that they are recording video and audio for everybody's safety. We are approaching our final stop of Malmö, and it's been a really nice ride down from Gothenburg. I didn't want to like this new product, SJ3000, but in the end I was really impressed. I would really recommend this train connection if you're looking for a nice, quiet, calm, high-quality first-class experience. We are now arriving in Malmö in the southern part of Sweden, and even though we departed late, we are actually arriving bang on time. And here I have about 50 minutes until the next train will take us to Copenhagen. Luckily, there is a lounge here in Malmö as well. Welcome to the SJ Lounge here at Malmö Central Station. I have about 45 minutes until my next connection, so it's just enough time to grab a little snack right here. And one of the nice things they have here in the lounge, I'll just grab it from there, they have this little ginger shot. I think this is going to be a nice little refreshing drink. Cheers. This lounge is certainly smaller than the one in Gothenburg, but they do have a nice cold lunch buffet, so I'm going to grab myself some food and drink. It is time to board the train to Copenhagen. Let's go and find track 1 Alpha. This train station is really well signposted. There's clear markings everywhere. We're just passing track number 5 there. 1 Alpha is going to be at the bottom there. Now we're on board the X2000 train, which does have a proper 1+2 seating in first class, and I always prefer to use the single seat. This time, however, I picked seat number 7, and that was the wrong choice because it doesn't really have a window. And that's a real shame, because the main attraction on this journey is the crossing over to Denmark across the beautiful Öresund Bridge. Welcome aboard the X2000 train in the first class carriage. I made the mistake of picking a seat, number 7 here, that doesn't really have a full window, so I'm going to make sure to try to change to one where I can get a better view. Never mind, I'm going to stay here in seat number 7. It's only such a short hop anyway. And most of it is in tunnels and trenches, except for that mesmerizing journey over the Öresund Bridge. We're already leaving Kastrup, that's the airport here in Copenhagen, and in only a few minutes we're going to arrive in Copenhagen Central Station. I did not film too much here on board the X2000, and before I knew it, the trip was over. In just a few minutes, we're going to be arriving at Copenhagen Central Station. It's been an efficient and quick journey from Malmö. These old X2000 trains are really showing their age because the interior is falling apart in some places. In that context, those new SJ3000 trains are actually a really nice service. So now the question is the new SJ3000 in fact the best high-speed service in Sweden? No, the old X2000 is still better. Reason number one is those wonderful solo seats that they offer. Reason number two is that beautiful tilting action when they take curves. It looks great and you really can't feel the curve at all. After crossing the bridge and entering Denmark, there is still one station before Copenhagen Central Station, and that is Copenhagen Airport. Click or tap the screen right here to watch my video about the flight that I took from Copenhagen Airport at the end of my trip. Thanks for watching. My name is Markus.